or is it not? And I imagine that could cause a lot of tension too. Wes Jones joins us. In 2011, Homehelper Consultants had closed roughly 215 short sales listings for the year and remain Keller Williams Realty #1 producing short sale team in the nation. How you doing, Wes?
I'm doing great, Ben. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, definitely.
This is my first time back since you had your 1-year anniversary party. I just wanted to congratulate you. I think it's a heck of a thing you've got going on here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, we're happy to have you. So, the history of short sales. What's going on right now in short sale world?
Well, I think the history of short sales versus what's going on right now are two very, very different things. But right now, you hear a lot of positive news out there, and that's great. Like, don't get me wrong. We're seeing some buyer activity that we haven't seen in years. Multiple offers, maybe even some, appreciation going on out there. We're even seeing it on our short sale listings, multiple offers, which is just fantastic. But don't get me wrong, these things are here in the greater Seattle area, probably Pacific Northwest. They are going to be here for some time. And, you can look at the numbers, any way that you want. But, I know when my partner Brian was on here last time, he said, hey, we're kind of a gut feel, type company. And, based on the number of inquiries that we get every single day for people looking for some type of help, advice, or a strategy, it's continuing to build. So although, we can see the market, shifting a little bit, it's not shifting away from short sales. And I do see these being something we're working through for some time. It's interesting because coming from the mortgage side of things, obviously, and you being working in real estate, there's a lot of synergies. And a lot of people who are underwater have to make this decision. Well, should I try to refinance using some of the programs that are out there, whether that's HARP, the Home Affordable Refinance Program, whether it's an FHA or Streamline loans. Right. And, it's funny because a lot of people, they hear about these programs and there's these just fairly bizarre rules and regulations to try to get one of these. In fact, there was an FHA Streamline we were working on recently, and FHA takes a few weeks to give the FHA designation for PMI. Mm-hmm. And this one happened, it had closed, and it had just happened that they didn't give them with the mortgage insurance certificate till 2 days after May 1st of 2009, May 3rd, also known as 2009. And no longer was this loan eligible because they just didn't get the certificate done. And she had lived there since the middle of March. So you have all these different things with FHA Streamlines and all the different mortgage programs that are out there. What do you see as far as, especially with FHA, do you see a lot of new information coming out on that? Well, it's not necessarily all that new, but I know what you're saying. And, there is a lot of synergy between, what you do on the lending side and then what I am seeing, working with banks on the real estate and short sale side of things. And, you kind of go back to, the morality, of what a short sale could be. And, I think we're getting less away from that where, some people still struggle with that, but it's people are switching more to a financial decision than a morality decision. But, with regards to FHA in general, there is some history, there with the program, and it's the FHA pre-foreclosure sale program. And it's actually been around since the late 90s. And it's something that was simply, enacted by HUD to help underwater homeowners who were in financial distress to be able to avoid foreclosure. It doesn't sound like, something that's a crazy idea today because that's, something that's very prominent in the news and we hear short sales all the time. But, that started back in the 90s. So people who've had an FHA loan for the last 15 years have been able to take advantage of this program if they know about it.
Do most people know about it?
I don't think most people know about it. I think, when I'm talking to people, a lot of people, are calling in and they're explaining their situation to me. And obviously one of my questions is going to be, well, do you know what type of loan you have? And if they say, hey, it's FHA, I say, okay, that's great. Not great that you're in this position, but great because there's a solution for you. And it's the FHA pre-foreclosure sale program.
So what is that process? How does that look?
It looks very similar to any other type of short sale, but it's actually you can kind of treat it like a cooperative short sale, and you'll hear that that word, cooperative. And what I mean by that is what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and start with our typical document collection process. We're going to make sure that we've got everything that we need, and then we're going to go ahead and submit that to the bank. And we're going to let the bank know that this is an FHA, pre-foreclosure sale property, and go ahead and go through everything. And once they go through it, they'll probably ask us for a couple, forms and ask some questions. And if everything looks good, what they're going to do then is they're going to approve that seller to participate in the program. It's actually called an ATB, an approval to participate. And at that point, they're going to send out an appraiser. And it's a full-blown FHA appraisal versus what commonly is called a broker's price opinion. So they're actually going to pay the money. You're going to get a full-blown appraisal. And then once that appraisal has been returned and that value has been issued, they're going to let us know what price that we can list that property at. And then, at that point, we'll go ahead and use that price as a guide and get the property on the market and kind of go from there.
So really, you're not making the choice of what to sell it for.
That's correct.
Or what to list it for.
That's right. Now, there's two ways that you can do this. You can actually do this. There's a way that you can market this as a pre-approved short sale, and that would be to actually go through the entire process, wait for that appraisal to come back. If you're getting choked up there, we can have Heather jump in.
What do you mean?
But okay, we're good to go. Okay, and we can actually, we can wait till we get that value back, and then we'll go ahead and list it at that price. And then at that time, you can say, hey, pre-approved, FHA pre-approved short sale, at this price. So
does that tend to get more buyers interested?
I think when you see that there's been significant work done on the front end, that buyers do respond that way. And that's definitely something, if it's appropriate, that we're going to put in the marketing remarks and let people know, hey, this is a short sale, but this price, has been, approved. So, and then really at that time, we know what they're going to accept and we know what they're not going to accept. And what's, every once in a while, you get an appraisal that comes in high, but they give you a little bit of flexibility. So it's helpful to know, what's going to be expected. So in the first 30 days, you've actually got to sell it within 88% of that appraised value. And then the next 30 days, you can go within 86%. And then the last 60 days of the program, you can sell it at 84%. That's including all closing costs. So it does, give some room for error, and it does give a little bit of flexibility, as time goes on.
Well, it sounds like an interesting program that would help a lot of people if they knew how they could use it.
Yeah, no, I think that you're right. And really what people need to do is they need to decide, hey, does it make sense for me to stay in my home, or do I reach out to somebody, like Cobalt, and see if I qualify for a streamline? And, if the rates, if the rate is being able to take down enough and they're able to stay in their home, then that's probably the right decision for them. But if they are going through the streamline process and the rate doesn't change as much, or PMI jumps up to something that's just unaffordable, or they just flat out can't afford the home, then they're definitely going to want to take, a look at this program.
Well, Wes, it certainly seems like something that is available for a lot of people with FHA loans. The interesting piece here, though, is a lot of people did FHA loans kind of in that 2003, 2004, 2005 period, which I guess now is a little disappointing because we had the good old 80-20 where you didn't have to bring any money and you'd eliminate that mortgage insurance. So probably is meant to reach out to more people, and we wish it could. It just, not a lot of FHA loans were done that during those years.
No, they weren't in the early, 2000s, like you mentioned. It's funny you bring that up because a lot of people that we're working with probably either refied, into an FHA or got their FHA loan probably after 2007. So it's people probably in the last 3, 4, 5 years that I'm seeing, come across our doorsteps.
Yeah, that would seem to make sense, just knowing that they just weren't done.
Exactly.
So, so what do you see then? We talk a little about FHA short sales. What do you just see in the general real estate market here in Seattle as far as short sales? You said you're kind of in a gut feeling mode that they just keep coming.
Yeah, no, I feel very strongly about that. It's probably just repeating what we were talking about in the intro, is that, what people aren't, a lot of people just aren't realizing that, values have readjusted as hard as they have. And when they finally get to that conclusion, they say, oh, geez, I'm 20% upside down. I'm 25. Maybe I'm 35% upside down. Maybe more if it's a condo. What are my options? And if they're looking at 5, 7, 10 plus years, before the market returns, that might just not work for them.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess that timing thing it's a huge piece.
No, it really is, and it's something that's personal for everybody. Some people can't wait 3 years. Well, some people can't. Some people can't afford their mortgages right now, so obviously they're heading down that road. Some people are looking towards retirement. They're looking at a job transfer. Unfortunately, they could be going through a divorce, or there could be some type of medical bills where this is something that they're almost being forced into versus an actual choice.
Yeah, well, certainly nobody wants to be going through this, but hey, sometimes it's the right thing to do. And Wes, thanks so much for joining us. We do have to go to break. That's Wes Jones, partner with Homehelper Consultants. We will be right back. You're listening to Brashenomics.